Hello, good afternoon. You've tuned into Your Stocks coming live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Vinny Motiwala. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. Green day coming in for the markets. Nifty managing to hold on to around that 25,000 mark. Right now slightly below that level, 24,987 is what it is trading at. The Nifty is still managing to hold on to gains of 0.5%. Sensex 2 0.5% of gain. Mid and small cap performing in tandem with the benchmark indices. So not much of a worry on that front. Banks, versus the benchmark indices, that's a bit subdued. 1/10 to 2/10% of gain is what we're seeing coming in for the Nifty Bank. So let's see that as well. It opened up at that high, then came down, and now it's around that 2/10% of gain. Not much of an uptick on that front. So that will be interesting to see where Nifty Bank is also headed. PSU banks today are not doing that great, so that is something to watch out for. But that's how the market setup is looking like. But how is, the query segment that we have for you all? We have a lot of queries lined up for you all, and this is what the show will be concentrating in the next 20 minutes. And joining us today to solve all those doubts, we have Ashish Kyal of Wave Strategy Advisors, as well as Gaurang Shah of Geojit Financial Services joining in with us to talk to us about the markets as well as the queries and how what are their suggestions coming in for that as well. Gaurang as well as Ashish, thank you so much for joining in with us. Ashish, Nifty Bank is what I want to talk about before we jump to the queries. Today, it's a bit of an underperformance, right? So what are we watching out for here today, and what are the levels that we should keep an eye out on?
Hi, afternoon to you, all the viewers, and Gaurangji also. If you look at the overall broader market, I think Nifty Bank has consolidated since it formed a high around 23rd April. And then from there onwards, for almost a month, it has been consolidating in a range. There is more like a time correction rather than a price correction. Prior to that, we saw a spectacular rise from 49,000 odd levels to 56,000. That was a very sharp move in just 5 days of time and a 1 month of correction. And that's a very healthy sign, because in this correction, the overbought indicators have been relieved their state, and we are now getting ready to again push back on the upside. Right now, yes, for today, the index has formed a doji candle, which shows indecisiveness, but I am optimistic that if it breaks back above that 55,870, we might be headed towards 56,500 or higher levels. So the overall view for Bank Nifty is bullish. We might want to wait for some kind of a positive traction from here on, and we should see 56,500 or higher levels from here on. And on the downside, support is at around 55,000.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels over there for Nifty Bank. But on that note, let's get started with those queries. The first query for today we have coming in from LRG Krishnan, who's writing to us from Kerala. He's holding 15 shares of LIC, and this is obviously through the IPO that got in the shares. They want to know that, what should they be doing now? They should continue to hold it for a year or more, or look to sell. Obviously, it was around 950 rupees is what they're talking about. So, Gaurang, your view coming in for LIC. On the insurance side, would you see LIC is the best bet? And should the viewer continue to hold this on the fundamentals? And afternoon to you.
Thank you so much, Vinny, and good afternoon to you. And the color green that you are wearing is all over the market today. So thank you very much for having me on the show.
I wish it was always twinning with me then. That is what then every bull will want, only markets to twin with my green shade.
Yeah, I guess in that case, you, me, and Mr. Kyal, all of us should wear green, right? There'll be more green all over. So anyways, so speaking of LIC, well, we've been positive on the entire life insurance pack for a pretty long period of time. The only problem, Vinny, is that, the sector has been not a great performer. Earnings has been on and off, good, bad, flipping here and there. But our thought process at Geojit Investments Limited is that, as people's thought process change in terms of getting themselves insured with a term insurance, not a ULIP, and that momentum is catching up, that understanding is catching up at ground level. So we are going to see better earnings in terms of overall run rate of premiums, and especially the new premium run rate with higher sum assured. So we've been positive. I do agree that since the time this viewer investor has invested in IPO, by and large, it has been an underperformer. But I think all is not lost. Give it some more time, and I think there should be better shade and color as far as earnings and the stock price is concerned.
Okay, give it some time is the word coming in from Gaurang. Ashish, your view on the charts and technicals, right? What should we watch out for? At one point of time, it did manage to touch that 1,000, around that 1,050 was that high we saw coming in. But after that, again, it went on the decline. So what are you keeping an eye on in terms of levels?
Absolutely, we saw that happening and it showed a decline, but this time it's different because this time it has formed a higher high and a higher low formation. As per simple Dow theory, it shows the overall primary trend has again turned back on the upside, and we can see the entire sector is also showing a green shoot. And I am expecting LIC to outperform from here on. We can expect the stock to again reach towards the level of around 950 or possibly 1000 from here on over positional perspective. But over short term, we can expect it to go towards 920, which is the previous peak high, swing high. 920 is the target on the upside. Outlook is bullish. And on the downside, one can maintain a stop loss of 845 levels.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels over there for LIC. Let's move on to the next query for today. This is coming in from Isaac Mohammed, who's writing to us from Pune. He's holding 6,000 shares of Ashok Leyland. Price is 351 rupees per share. He can wait for another 3 to 4 months. Wants to know whether he should look to hold or look to sell. He's making some bit of a loss here on this front. Gaurang, we did have those numbers also that came in from the company. Most of these analysts have highlighted a bit of a beat coming in. Management has maintained their midterm guidance. So it should be good for the viewer to hold it in the shorter term as well. Does it make sense? Or maybe just get out of the stock right now?
No, Vinay, I think, first of all, I am a little bit surprised with the purchase price of 351. I will request my good friend Ashish to help me because I can't find 351, at least as far as my data is concerned. Maybe Ashish can help with it. But we've been positive on Ashok Leyland for a pretty long period of time. The numbers that we saw over the weekend augurs extremely well, not only for the fourth quarter, but even for the third quarter, when the numbers were in line with what we had penciled down. The management commentary post the fourth quarter earnings is extremely strong in terms of business outlook as we go into the future. So I would say that now the turnaround is picking up speed and you should see better numbers in terms of run rate. Hold on to it. My only point is the investment level of 351 is something that I have a doubt.
Okay, that's a view coming in there. 351, even that is something even I can't find right now when I'm looking at the charts. Ashish, if the viewer is holding, let's forget the buy price. I think they've missed giving us the buy price. So what should the viewer do now? Should they continue to hold this?
I think the buy price should have been around 255 because the lifetime high that the Ashok Leyland has made is somewhere around 264, 264.60. Having said that, the overall trend, if you look at the weekly and the daily trend, the stock has outperformed. Even in the entire space or the sector it is into, it has outperformed. And I think it is going to break that 250 mark eventually. And once it breaks that, it will go towards the lifetime high levels again. Way above 265 and 275 can be the target. So my suggestion is hold on over here. The outlook, the chart looks good. It has been managing to sustain about that 20 DMA also. Target can be around 275 on the upside. On the downside, the support for the stock is around 230 levels.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Viewer, I hope your query is answered as well. So as of now, just hold on to Ashok Leyland. But let's move on to the next query. We have Ram Kumar Ratnagiri, who's writing to us from Mumbai, holding 100 shares of PNB. Price is 138 rupees. Wants to know whether to hold or sell at the current levels. Gaurang, your view coming in for PNB. Is PNB the best bet to play right now in the banking space, PSU banking side as well specifically? Or, should the viewer get out and maybe look at some other name?
Well, there is a loss undoubtedly in this trade as of now as we speak, Vinny. There is no doubt about that. But whether there is a scope of recovery, which we strongly believe. Whether PNB is the best stock, well, we have coverage on PNB and some public sector banks like State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Indian Bank, to name a few. Along with that, of course, more than half a dozen public sector banks, which have been outperforming private sector banks, which have been outperforming public sector banks. But the numbers, again, if I have to reflect upon the last couple of quarters, there has been a steady improvement, Vinny, on the earnings visibility. And more importantly, the run rate as far as the gross and net NPA, that's coming down. Provisionings are coming back. Management's effort in terms of recovery is showing results. So first of all, hold on. If you have investable amount from a long-term point of view, maybe, you can add maybe 100 or 50 shares at current levels and then possibly add on more if you get a further dip. But we've been positive. We have a hold recommendation. So hold on to it. And if you have investable amount, average maybe 50% or 100%.
Okay. hold on to it right now. That's the view coming in from Gaurang. But Ashish, your view on the technicals for PNB?
See, PNB formed a low at around 90 in the recent fall that we saw on 9th of May and showed sharp bounce back from there. Along with Bank Nifty, this stock is also consolidating over past few days. But I'm optimistic that the rally that we are seeing across the board is now going to be more like a rotational rally where a few sector contributes and the few takes a breather and the next sector starts contributing. So I think PSU sector can start contributing, especially the banking side of it. And we can expect PNB to move up towards the level of 108, 109 on the upside. So the outlook is positive. On the downside, the support for the stock is around 98 levels over short term. And eventually, if he is looking from a medium to long term perspective, then maintain a stop loss of around 95. So the trend is positive, expecting a target of 108 on the upside over near term.
Okay, let's move on to the next query. This is also a PSU bank. We have Augustine D, who is writing to us from Kochi, holding 1,000 shares of Bank of Maharashtra. Price is 50 rupees per share, 50.25. Buy price is the same as the right now's trading price for Bank of Maharashtra. For the past 3 months is what her holding period has been. Now she wants to know, Gaurang, from here on, what should she be doing? Hold or look to sell? For Bank of Maharashtra, what's the view? Anything different from PNB?
The problem, Vinny, with banks like Bank of Maharashtra and some of the other smaller PSU bank is the consistency in terms of earnings. And that's where the biggest drawback is. If you are not able to deliver consistently on earnings, there is going to be volatile times for the stock price as well. We don't have any specific coverage on Bank of Maharashtra, but just in case if the investor is looking at switching and looking at maybe another a public sector bank, then possibly a Bank of Baroda or a State Bank of India or an Indian bank would do much better sense in terms of investment. Or in private sector banks, you can look at IDFC First Bank or Federal Bank.
Okay. And Ashish, your view for coming in for Bank of Maharashtra?
See, for Bank of Maharashtra, it has been struggling for quite some time. I think it's better to be out. From here, it has failed to sustain even above that 53 mark, reverse back on the downside, and then it's not looking an outperformer. So better to be out at the current levels on the stock. And maybe something like an HDFC Bank that is touching the lifetime high levels, consolidating there, looks to be very attractive at these levels also. Look at HDFC Bank. We can target it around 2,000 or higher on that side and be out of Maharashtra Bank.
Okay, that's a view coming in there for Bank of Maharashtra. Can look at other banking names as well. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break, viewers. But here's some good news coming in for y'all. India's business news leader is now a click away. Introducing CNBC TV18's all-new app. Get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles, and financial world updates at your fingertips. Download the CNBC TV18 app now from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or you can just scan the QR code on your screens. Welcome back to your stocks on CNBC TV18. Now, let's keep it going with all your stock-related queries. To solve all of that today, we have Ashish Kyal as well as Gaurang Shah, who are helping us do all of that. Let's move on to the next query. Ramesh Jain is writing to us from Mumbai. He's holding 60 shares of Honasa Consumer's prices, 220 rupees per share. They're making a profit on this one. They want to know whether they should continue to stay invested in this or look to sell and book out their profits. Gaurang, your view coming in for Honasa Consumers. This quarter was not bad, right? A bit of a turnaround that we're seeing coming in here. What is the growth story expected from here on, and does it merit for the viewer to continue to hold it?
Firstly, I think it was overpriced when the IPO came, to be very honest. And then we know the history. As far as the sector is concerned, I think there's going to be a lot more competition that's going to come in. Survival is going to be extremely difficult. Along with that, there's going to be a huge competition in terms of pricing and eating into each other's market share. Having said that, we don't have specific coverage on Honasa. But I think if you want to stay in with the consumption theme, moving a little bit from the sector where Honasa is associated, I think with the onset of monsoon that we are seeing and a likely possibility of a good monsoon this year, which the Met Department has predicted, ITC would make a lot of sense. Numbers were also much better than what we had expected. And I think ITC should do and fare much better compared to likes of Honasa.
Okay. So you prefer something like an ITC compared to an Honasa, and given that what we have in terms of the updates that coming in on the monsoon front as well. That's a view coming in from Gaurang. But Ashish, what's your view for Honasa Consumers? Would you prefer any other FMCG name, or Honasa Consumer has now become attractive on the technical front and one should continue to hold it?
Honasa, I think it's attractive right now because it found a good base and now it's trying, but only from the short term perspective. From the medium to long term, I'm not optimistic. Or short term, there is a possibility it can move towards the gap area of 350, which it created around in the month of November 2024. So that is possible that it can fill the gap and move towards 350. So 345, 350 is where I would suggest to exit from the stock. Do not hold it from the long term. Looks like a lot of chaos has happened from the medium to long term perspective. So 345, 350. That's the target on the downside, and maintain a stop loss of around 290 levels.
Okay, 290 is the stop loss, 340, 350 is where you could look to exit, is what the answer is coming in from Ashish. So hope that's also out there, Ramesh. Let's move on to the next query. We have Sulochana, who's writing to us from Bangalore, holding 200 shares of Praj Industries. Price is 500 rupees per share. Slight bit below the buying price right now is what Praj is trading at. And they have it since almost a year. So they want to know if they can continue to hold this for another year, or Praj Industries is not a good bet and one should exit from this one. Your view, Gaurang.
So, once again, no specific coverage when you over here, so I won't be able to give buy, sell and hold. But in case if, again, the investor wants to look at a switch from here, of course, Praj Industries caters to one of the niche segment in terms of the transformation, in terms of cleaner environment, green fuel, etc. is concerned. So its contribution definitely looks very, very strong. But since we don't have a coverage, we won't give a buy, sell and hold. Alternative investment idea, I think Tata Power could be a better option.
Okay. Tata Power for you is a better option than Praj. So that's the view there from Gaurang. But on the technicals, Ashish, Praj Industries, how is the story playing out?
It's not looking good, honestly, because the stock corrected sharply from the levels of 850, 860, made the low of around 450 and still not able to bounce back anything from there. So my suggestion would be it is best to be out from this stock. It is very volatile and has even taken out the previous swing low. So that looks to be bearish. Any break below 465 can again start the negative trend. So be out from this stock. It's better to be invested into Tata Power, like Gaurang said. It's not looking good at all.
Okay, not looking good at all for Praj Industries, whether technicals or fundamentals. So get out of the stock. That's the answer coming in from both our experts. Next query, Dhamodharan is writing to us from Tamil Nadu. He's holding 200 shares of Coal India. Price is for 34 rupees per share. Wants to know whether you should continue to hold or look to sell this one, and what should be the near-term target as well. Gaurang, your view first on the fundamentals for this one.
So I think one of the best companies in terms of largest natural reserves of coal is what Coal India has. Yes, a shift from thermal to clean and green energy in terms of usage is concerned in form of fuel is something that is entire world is looking at to reduce the carbon footprints. We have a positive coverage. We have a hold recommendation on Coal India. And my sense is that 2-3 things have happened for good, Vinny. One is that the pricing is now much better, and the output in terms of quality and quantity of coal is also much better. By that, e-auctions are realizing better, margins. So long term, if you have a view for long term, hold on to Coal India.
Okay. Have a view for long term, then hold on to Coal India. That's the view on the fundamentals. On the technicals, Ashish, what's your view? The viewer has also asked for a short term and near term target. So if you could help us with that as well.
See, if over short term, Coal India has since past 2 days, it is trying to attempt to move on the upside. But there was some sharp decline from 417 levels to the low of 393. And it's now just retracing that. So over short term, I think it's going to move in a broad range of 412 on the upside, and on the downside, 393 is the support. So that's the range I'm expecting over short term. And if it manages to break 412, then we can expect some momentum to build up in the counter. Right now, hold on to the stock, maintain 393 as a stop loss. And let's see if it breaks 412, then extend and then trail your stop loss higher.
Okay. Keep an eye out on those levels over there for Coal India. Next query for today coming in from Arunachalam, who's Balaji, who's writing to us from Tamil Nadu, holding 6,000 shares of Indian Overseas Bank. Price is 43.8 rupees per share. Stock is currently trading at 38 rupees. Should they continue to hold or look to sell this one? Indian Overseas Bank, your view, Gaurang? A lot of PSU bank queries that we have coming in today. So this next one, what's your view on this one?
This is the problem, Vinny. Again, a bank which is not a consistent delivery in terms of earnings. Similar to what we discussed, for example, in Bank of Maharashtra. Again, no specific view since we don't have coverage, but we prefer SBI, BOB, PNB or Indian Bank in the PSU bank universe.
Okay, that's a view coming in there from Gaurang. But that is all the time we have on this edition of Your Stock. So thank you so much, Gaurang, as well as Ashish, for joining with us on the show and helping our viewers solve all their stock-related queries. And viewers, thank you so much for sending us your queries. With that, it's a goodbye from myself as well as the team who put this show together. Don't go anywhere. Up next, you have Closing Bell to take you through the last hour of trade.